welcome aboard the Queen Anne's Revenge. This is my little home away from home. I am Captain Pop, your fantasy football pirate. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be creating some videos that will allow the novice to learn about the sport. Game, it ain't sport necessarily. It ain't like we're sweating. To learn about the game and how it's played, how to get started, how to get a league started, how to get involved in it, strategy, terminology, just some of the basics, some of the basic things you need to know to help you be successful. And maybe over succeeding weeks we'll get a little more in depth in what some of my secrets are and some tips. And then after we go through the tutorial, then once we get a little closer to end season, this is the 15th of May, I think, May 15th. So we're kind of in a downtime right now. The draft's already happened. The rookie camps are kind of winding down. They'll be starting to wind down over the next few days, and they'll take a few weeks off before coming back, so it'll really be probably four to 6 weeks before anything gets started with the NFL. So it'll be kind of a downturn, but I think that'll be a good time to go over some of the basics with you on how to get started in fantasy football. A little bit about myself. I've been playing fantasy football for 4 seasons, and I know that doesn't sound like much time, until you realize how much time I've actually spent on fantasy football in the last 4 seasons. A personal note, I have Asperger's syndrome, which they don't call it Asperger's anymore. It's just called autism spectrum disorder. So it's just a term that's easy for people to remember. Basically what it means is I'm not real good with social skills, so I may not always look you in the eye when I'm talking to you. I get a little nervous sometimes around people, and but the big thing that it does, and I actually kind of don't have a problem with it when it comes to certain things, is it causes a tendency to obsess over a specific topic. And over the last 4 seasons, that topic has been fantasy football. To the point of me taking like notepad after notepad full of notes, listening to hours. I work at a job that I sit behind a desk all day for 8 hours, and I listen to fantasy football podcasts the entire time. So we're looking at like 40 plus hours of fantasy football podcasts. So I listen to multiple podcasts all day long, probably close to 40 hours a week. It is 40 hours a week during the season. During the off season, there's not as many podcasts available to listen to, so there's not 40 hours worth of podcasts to listen to. If there was, I'd be listening to them 365 days a year. I have played for 4 years, like I said, and every year, the first 2 seasons that I played, first season I started, didn't know anything at all about fantasy football, quickly got hooked. Went out and won it all the first year, won the championship the first year. Second year I got started playing in the same league, I repeated. I won it all again the second year. The third season, I won the championship again. And in the 4th season, which was last year, I played in 5 leagues and made the playoffs in all 5, but only won 1 championship, sorry to say. Only one. Anyway, this is what we're playing for. Your league may vary. Maybe a cash league. If that is, then that's good too. I play in a few of those also. And I'll go into all of that in some of the later videos. What's the difference in cash leagues and how they work and what the payouts are and how that typically works. Like I said, I'm going to be going over some of the basics of fantasy football, how to get started, terminology, strategy, where to play, what you need to play. Then once we get some of the basics laid out, I may go into some more intermediate type things. Strategy, tips and tricks, some of the tools that I use to play fantasy football with. I think it might be useful to you. Until then, check me out on Twitter, if you're on Twitter. Like I said, it's Pops Fantasy Sports on Twitter, and also at the FFB _ Pirate. Like I said, that's going to be a little more fun. There'll be a little more fun stuff on there. I'm a little more snarky, a little more of a character on that particular site. I also have a blog that you can check me out. Check out articles on. I write my own articles about different fantasy football topics. Probably some sports topics too on there. Different topics. I hadn't done anything else yet, but there'll probably be some other articles on there on the blog part of it. And you can find that at www.Faileas Creations. That's FAILEAS Creations. You can figure out how to spell creations. And when you go on there, just look for Pop's Fantasy Blog. Also, I am a contributing writer, starting very soon to Gridiron Experts. It's a fantasy football website dedicated to just fantasy football. And they are in partnership with USA Today. You can find them at the Gridiron Experts on Twitter, and also the Gridiron Experts on their website, www.gridironexperts.com. I think that about covers everything. Until next time, what we'll take up next time is we'll get into some of the terminology and how to get started in fantasy football. Until then, good sailing.